Welcome, everyone, to the lifting for July 11th, 2017. I am Joanna Michaels, and along with my co-host, one sitting here right next to me, Christopher Stephen Jacobs, and my other co-host dialing in from Arizona, Katrina Schaff. We are so happy you are all joining us here tonight for the show. And we always tell people to please visit our website at thelifting2017.wixsite.com/the lifting. So this past weekend, we ventured out and participated in an expo in the Virginia area. And it was called the Holistic and Spiritual Art Expo. And we had a very, very nice time. And we posted the lecture that we were able to give. And we want to announce as well that in about a month's time, we're going to start on the road heading towards the West Coast. Final destination for the moment would be Prescott, Arizona. And in between there, we're going to hit places like Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, Kansas City, Missouri, Lincoln, Nebraska, and maybe a few other places as well. And so we're going to put our itinerary up just in case anybody wants to have us come out and speak to any group. And the good news is that we posted that lecture we gave, so it gives everybody kind of an idea of what we are able to do to kind of explain our mission, what we're up to. So just watch for our itinerary and give us some feedback if you'd like to kind of put together an event. And if you're not sure where to host one at, just remember that everybody has really nice public libraries, usually that have a gathering room, and that's a fine place for everyone to meet as well. So basically, tonight we are going to be discussing something that many people have asked us about, and that's about the revocations, wards, audits, and affirmations. And so right now, everyone is on mute. If we have time and there are live listeners with questions, we will bring you in. Otherwise, you guys can always remember to send us a question to our Gmail, and that is thelifting2017@gmail.com, and we will answer them on the Q&A show. And our next Q&A is Thursday, July 20th. So basically, it is time, before we get started, to always do an affirmation and blessing. And tonight, I believe Chris is going to do that for us.
All right. This particular affirmation and blessing was given by M. And this one says, protection is key to moving forward into discernment, then discernment into what humans refer to as the impossible. All right, and that was by M. So I will continue. Many people have asked us to explain more about the concepts of revocations and wards, and what is the very best method of protection and or disentangling from darker entities and or from rogue expressions and the mishaps of dimensional selves. What I always tell them is to create a ward for a specific set of circumstances. Be creative. These revocations, wards, audits, and affirmations are declarations of our intent, our free will, sovereign expression of expectation. Again, we all control our own experience, so we set the terms. We also specifically do this and write them down and say it repeatedly, and says we are literally tricking our own minds into accepting these as facts rather than questioning them. And that is an important part, that we must believe it. So let's say you have a specific kind of dark entity roaming in your home. Ward against it. In several cases, I have had to write a ward for every type of dark entity that I have ever encountered. That's what I have done, because it works for me. And that is a particular point, that you can make up your own. It is just about what works for you. The reason we have written some down and made them public was to help people understand what to do to declare sovereignty in certain situations. But by no means is it the only correct way. You just have to ensure that you have actually addressed the situation. So let me go over a few that I feel are important and why. This, let's see, one important use of wards is when you are around sick and or dying people. These people's survival instinct can be so strong that they are literally sucking the energy right from you. This is inadvertently, of course, and unintentional. This applies especially to hospitals and nursing homes. I wrote a ward specifically for this type of occurrence called Gabriel's Bliss. It goes like this. For when I enter the sanctums of sick and dying, I am, and always will be, protected from the arm and reach of the unwell. Their need to drain me shall not succeed. I show them the bliss that is love as I heal with a touch not just of energy, but of physical as well. It is forever so. That one, as I said, applies to hospitals and nursing homes. And that really also applies to any situation where you're around people that you're taking care of. You know, this is not any fault of their own. I've come to notice that when people are in those situations, like I said, the survival instinct is so strong that they're literally pulling energy from everyone around them. And so ward has to be made for that. Another type of ward that my guide Simeon gave to me is about the very technology that we live around. It could also be retooled for chemtrailing as well. It is known as the poison air, and it goes like this. I, and then state your name, am hereby protected against the poisoned energy that the current level of human technology emits, and in turn, I do not affect technology, knowingly or unknowingly, with my energy. It is forever so. All right. I have one that is for my fellow channelers, new and old, that have had trouble being awoken in the middle of the night by all manner of beings. I call this one the neon sign. Between the hours of blank and blank, may I not channel or be intruded upon by curious seekers, so that my energy reserves are not depleted. May my energy contain a quote-unquote neon sign that hereby states my hours of operation. It is forever so. This one is known as the health ward. May my health never degrade from channeling of any being or of high order, and may not any of, insert bad guys' names here, I put that in there, anyone can insert the bad guys in there, be able to harm me or any that I love. My eyes see not of blurred vision, and my legs not vibrate as if in a current of a river. May my quote-unquote spirit self be not taken by any malicious or malevolent being while I bilocate and or astral travel. It is forever so. And finally, a ward you all have been waiting for. This one is known as the House Temple Ward. This house is a temple. May no malevolent entities enter here and into my mind, body, soul, and energy field. May my guides and source have my back or backs in this matter. It is forever so. You can, as I've just said, tool that for either our or my. So, now on to revocations. As I've said in the beginning, revocations as well as audits are a necessary part of disentangling from any harmful pacts that any of our dimensional selves have made or any of our ancestral line has made, knowing or unknowing, with any dark being or beings. This was a point of confusion for some people. This is why we have done this tonight. These next two revocations I actually want everyone listening to go ahead and do. So everyone, please please say yes to this as well as the next one. This one I use the most often in reads, and it goes like this. Do you revoke any and all dimensional ties, past life ties, parallel universe ties, rogue expression ties, collapsing and invading timeline ties, as well as any other expression that is harmful to your current present self? And having myself under the assumption that everyone just said, yes, I will move on. This next one, this has to go hand in hand with all major revocations, audits, all of it. This is the missing spaces. I call it revocation. You can say it's a ward too. This actually involves, this is a concept that M explained to me about revocations and audits. He said, imagine a circle of stones sitting on top of a land surface. Consider an audit or a revocation, an earthquake that moves these stones out of alignment temporarily. There are spaces that are now in between those stones that were tight-knit before. You have to reconfigure your protection in order to put these stones back into place, or something can slip in those missing spaces. That also happens when an expression or any other dimensional self vanishes from the circle. It's like losing teeth. You're eventually going to fill it with a denture or a bridge or something. So in this instance, this is how this goes. May the missing spaces that have now appeared as a result of any and all previous revocations done be filled with only that which is for my current expression's highest good. And I usually also word it for people that I do reads for. Do you fill these missing spaces with light that is for your highest good alone? And so it is. It is forever so. And that is to be done with anything major that you do in the audit and revocation department. And now on to the audits. Now, there are plenty of other revocations to do. Just they're listed on our website, and I'm going to put plenty more up there fairly soon. So this is on to audits. This is a more difficult concept for people to understand. What it means is that you are getting rid of an old way of being or energy that either does not apply to the here and now, or has to be redistributed or reappropriated to be more compatible with the new energies, such as a dimensional self, past life self, or genetic memory that is no longer holds any usage here. It's not compatible with your current present self. Another thing that pops up a lot in people's reads are what is known as lineage curses, whereas an ancestor either inadvertently makes a deal with a jinn in dream time, or the jinn creates a situation whereas the ancestor is at death's door. Then the jinn offers to save the person's life, but the person must agree to a contract with the entity so that that entity can control the whole family lineage. A lineage curse revocation audit, as well as a genetic memory audit, are necessary to shake these so-called curses. At least that is the quick way, aside from a seer going in and unraveling the quote-unquote curse entanglements. Also, auditing all expressions and rogue expressions is also necessary to rid yourself of rogue energies that do not serve you. What an expression is another way to say dimensional self or a past life. What a rogue expression is one of these expressions detaching from your circle and attempts to dominate the circle. Examples of this are the names of Caceres and Metros that I mentioned in my book, From the Fall to the Lifting. For years I thought both Caceres and Metros were my true soul aspects. Caceres was in fact a dominating expression of Osiris, and Metros I thought was my Agarth and Sleeper stuff, which I still do have that. It just the name is Micah and not Metros. When I audited all of my expressions, those two vanished after M dissected them and gave me the useful energy back, because Caceres was a rewritable past and Metros was a rewritable future. I was surprised to say the least, but at the time I did not even know about rogue expressions, so I thought they were other normal aspects instead of understanding that there should be only one current self. So these were actually invading selves, and they did not belong, only me. Now, my present self is to be here, and the same goes to all. But what I have learned for sure is that a truth is a truth until a better truth comes along, meaning as we all learn and grow, so do our understandings and truths. Here are both the lineage curse revocation audit and the expression audit. Lineage curse revocation audit. May the ties that bind negativity to the family genome be forever banished from my here and now. And then I give a time and a date in all realities, including any and all dimensions, parallel universes, collapsing and invading timeline. And this is another part that's hard for people to understand, quantum fetuses. I will explain that term in a second. People think it's really stupid. And any and all rogue expressions that are left other than that other revocations did not repair. May my line be forever healed, both in ancestry and within my descendants. It is forever so. Now, before I continue, I'm going to talk about what that term quantum fetuses means. It took a bit to get this out of the guides. This means all possible pasts. This means all possible versions of how you would be genetically prior to being born in any infinite number of parallel universes. And this is why the parallel universe thing is in there in all dimensions, all realities that could include all possible futures, just like with Metros. He was a possible future. And Osiris/Caceres was a possible past. And both sides had to be rectified because we're supposed to be living in the here and now. So, on to the genetic memory audit. May all that does not serve my current present moment locked within my cell's memories codes be audited at, and I say a time and a date, and may any attachments such as jinn and their quote-unquote lineage curses be forever revoked in all expressions, dimensions, parallel universes, collapsing timelines, invading timelines, and quantum fetuses. This applies to the audit as well. It is forever so. The rogue expression revocation. And we can say audit with this as well. May all of the expressions of mine that wander the vastness of the universe, multiverse, omniverse, super-omniverse, parallel universes, dimensions, past lives, and collapsing timelines be hereby audited and revoked, and may the source code forever oversee this audit and revocation, negating any and all negative and ill effects from the aforementioned audit and revocation. And so it is forever so. The present self audit. I state your name, do hereby audit myself as of this current moment in time, put a time and a date, with the supervision of source code. This will negate all ill effects to myself in the present expression. I am also auditing the present self for any and all parallel universal selves, dimensional selves, collapsing timeline selves, rogue present selves, detached present selves, quantum fetuses, and all unchecked and unseen current moment present selves. This takes effect immediately as what we know as the past, present, and future all exists as one, nor does it exist at all. And so it is forever so. I know that one was a mouthful, but that is exactly the wording the guides wanted me to use. So, on to this. Now I could list one after another, which I have, but that would take far too long. So I will just direct people to our website. As for daily affirmations, the footsteps blessing, the house temple ward, and this new one, my capacity to love is greater than your capacity to hate. That was directed at the Cabal and any demonic forces. This is one that Joanna came up with not that long ago. And from this point, I will let her take it from here.
Yes, thanks, Chris. Really, that's the only thing that I'm really going to speak about tonight. And that phrase, or really that affirmation, my capacity to love is greater than your capacity to hate. So in general, what's the purpose of that kind of affirmation? Well, I have to tell you, it started a little over a week ago when Chris and I were experiencing a very challenging, oppressive moment here. Besides the pressure being rough and crushing to our heads, there were a lot of feelings that came on of negativity, depression, hopelessness, that made it hard to function. and we were both struggling, really struggling hard to deal with it. And I can certainly see how this type of oppression would make you want to stop and turn around, and whatever you were doing, it certainly had us questioning what we were doing. However, I have to say that Chris and I seem to have a very defiant streak that's kind of a mile wide, and we actually don't give up that easily. So what was happening to us would really make you want to kind of fight and lash out, like pick a fight with the person sitting next to you kind of thing. Um, and again, what we really want people to understand is what happens and has happened to us as well is when something comes on very quickly and it's quite intense, like everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden, and it's quite intense, that you have to let it go through your mind that you are actually at that moment experiencing an outside oppression force that's actually come in to kind of mess with you. So as not to give up or to give in to this, my only sense of fighting, which is really what I wanted to do, was fighting to that being basically, but to really make it clear that my capacity to love is greater than your capacity to hate. And when I first said it, sure enough, it was in sure defiance. But I was trying to stay true to who I am. But then I just focused on the statement, and I just kept repeating it in my head. And then sometimes I'd say it out loud, and I just kept doing it over and over like an affirmation. I'll have to tell you quite honestly, it's not like I was hunting for an affirmation. It just is something that literally came to me, and I, just started using it. And I have to tell you, shortly thereafter, as I focused on what I was saying, I actually could feel the welling of my chest because I actually started to feel that love. And then before I knew it, the other was gone. And what I'd actually done is just sat there and raised my own vibration, and so the other was no longer there. So what I really did with this affirmation was to remind myself of who I was and who I wanted to be, and the realization that working from the heart space is literally a stronger electrical force than the head space, and that is where fear and hatred resides. These oppressive forces cannot work out of the heart space. It's just not possible. So if you can get into your heart space, then you actually are the stronger force, and you will raise. So with that said, I'd like for everyone to sit back and actually try this affirmation. Say it a few times. I know the past month has been rough. We have not been exempt in this household either. But I think this is something you really want to add when you're having those moments, because these other forces are really going to want to make you lash out, but you don't want to do things like that. And you just want to take the moment and do this affirmation and say it, and I guarantee you, you will feel your chest start to well. You will feel the love that is intended with this affirmation, and it will make you feel better. So with all of that said, I ask you all to use this affirmation and be willing to live it right now as I tell you something that is brewing out there right now that we really want to see averted, a problem we would like to see averted. And we were literally speaking last night with the guides on this, and they advised it needed to be spoken about on tonight's show. So I'm going to quickly tell you about it right now. So we have spoken about the negative forces and the fact that they could control the masses by trying to control both sides of an argument. I will also remind you that martyrdom is also used to promote a negative agenda, and you really do not want to support martyrdom at all. Now, I am not going to name the names of who this was about, because there are most likely more than just these particular players out there. So it is the concept that needs to be addressed, not just these people that I was hearing about. So last night, or I should say early evening, while Chris was in session with someone, I became curious about a kind of YouTube video I saw and started listening to it. And I started to have really odd feelings about the guest, and actually became a bit nervous and upset listening to it. And in all honesty, I could only listen to about halfway before I had to shut it off. What upset me is that I realized that this was the actual for and against for disclosure. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that these are the players. So in this, the battle lines and the characters were all being spelled out, even with a date for them to have an actual conflict. And an intuitive thought came in that this person is either knowingly or unknowingly being controlled, just like the other side of the coin, and both are being manipulated by the dark agenda. So when Chris's session was over and I explained to him what had happened and how I felt, a specific guide came in to confirm, my feelings or from actual recognition of what was going on, and explained further the understanding of the plan, which is to create such a fight that one would end up being martyred. And why? Because people rally behind martyred and assumed truth, rather than an ugly truth that the darkness has no problem sacrificing one of their own to further their own agenda. So basically it needs to be stopped. So basically what we are asking you is to think about this, and hopefully you will agree that no one should be allowed to die for disclosure. Not one person who is not ready for disclosure and thus with the news would panic, nor one caught up in the for or against fight. Absolutely no one. And so I hope with all of your intent that you can agree with that statement, that no one should be dying over something like this. So I have to ask you, is your capacity to love greater than their capacity to hate? Can you make such a declaration? Do you want any human to die over this? And I sure hope not. So please think about this. Disengage from the fighting and just work on yourselves and what brings joy into your lives. And let's all just start seeing the day when we all get along better and respect our philosophical differences, which will also ready us for the day of full disclosure. And that's really all I have for this evening. So Katrina, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Joanna. Good evening, everyone. To me, revocations and wards are powerful tools for protecting yourself and for stating your intentions about an issue you need to correct or change. It is your thought and your intentions saying a channeled passage from a higher being or repeating a revocation that you created yourself. When you combine the written word with your energy and your intention, it is felt on a deep level. Saying it out loud and hearing the words you are speaking makes a powerful statement felt by you and anyone listening. The words written in the revocation are there to guide the protection or the intention you are wanting in your life. We have these written out for you, but that does not mean you cannot add to it with your own personalized words. Whatever is happening in your life can be added to the revocation or ward to make it your own. Just add your words to the channeled words already written. You can also write revocations and words of your own that coincide with what is happening in your life at that moment. You can make it simple or very detailed. Revocations are sending energy to a personal situation. You can call it a prayer, sending your energy, speaking to your guides, and so on. It is all the same. Not only can you add your personal needs to the revocation awards, you can also create and use rituals that can become part of your life. Rituals are things you do in a certain sequence with certain tools and at times in specific places. It is the realistic pattern that helps you center, calms you, and it opens up your mind and your third eye. It also brings you into communication with your guides, your angels, or the masters, and so on. It is personal power tools that you use for the purpose of you connecting to the higher energy and helps bring you in touch with your spirit. Rituals are familiar words, chants, and items that help center you. These are only tools. The tools do not protect you, but they trigger the intention to protect yourself. They open your senses and guide you in the right direction. The only power these tools have is the intention you give them. They are things that become special and sacred to you because of the energy you send to them and the energy they hold from your constant use. When you are in a special place, holding your special objects and saying the intentions you are meditating on and asking for, they trigger your own powerful energy and help you focus on what you're intending to send or receive during this meditation. They help words or actions come through for your higher self. If you do not like a revocation or a ritual tool that I have mentioned, you can do whatever feels good to you or fits into your belief system. This is no different than anything else we have talked about on the lifting. If you do not like it, make it your own. As I have mentioned before, it makes no difference if it's a crystal, a cross, prayer beads, on and on and on. Whatever gets you to the light and keeps you in the light is what you use or what you say. It is all in the intention. The tools are the things you use. It is you that does the work. We had a question for the last Q&A show about what do I, Chris, and Joanna do to protect ourselves and what rituals we use personally. As for the revocations and wards, I read it out loud and I say channeled words, but I also add the things that are happening at the moment that are affecting me. An example of that would be the Dreamtime revocation. I start out by revoking any permission to any beings that are negative, but I also add in specific beings and names. I also add situations that may have occurred the night before or in the daytime that I want to call specific attention to. To revoke something negative is not asking it in. You are just telling it they are blocked and have no right to you in any way. Some revocations I read every day because it feels good to me, but others I read once. If you read it and you feel that it is done and forever so, once should be sufficient. On the other hand, if it gives you the comfort to read them several times, go ahead. There are no rules. I have personal rituals I do before readings or going on the lifting. I have a Michael pendant made from sand that spells his name in Sanskrit. I use gold, turquoise, moonstone, a cross from Chimayo, and my keystone from Atlantis. I hold them to meditate and then have them around me for the read and the show. I start my meditation by chanting Om 3 times. Then I take 3 cleansing breaths, and then I chant Om 3 more times. This not only removes any blockage or details I am holding on to, but it also opens my energy for the read or the show. I ask for protection and guidance and for only the truth to come through. After the read or the show is over, I repeat the same ritual to close the sessions. I feel when I open myself to all the energies, it is only responsible to close them. Again, these things I do work for me, and the tools I use help me focus and center on the thing I'm about to say or do. I have also a protection visualization or ritual I do for protection and healing. For those that have read with me, they know I have used this on them at times. I call it mummification and or cocooning. I picture bright white strands of light that I wrap around myself, starting at below my feet and moving up and circling my body in a clockwise manner to above my head. I come back down with the strands counterclockwise from my head to below my feet. I repeat this again, and when I get to above my head, I cap off the energy so nothing leaves this cocoon I have made for myself. When I get back to my feet, I cap off the energy again to seal the cocoon. At the same time I am doing this, I am stating my intention for protection, health, or anything I need at that time. I state that nothing can enter into this cocoon. At times during this, I may add other strands of light, such as green for healing, pink for love, blue for communication, or anything that I need or require at the time. This ritual comforts me. I do this not only to myself, but to my family, my pets, my house, city, state, the earth, and clear out to the universe. I see it encompassing the whole universe and then anchoring itself to the center of the earth. I also have affirmations, and saying that just makes me, the sayings, they just make me feel good. My favorite is, "This too shall pass." It helps me remember that it is only now, at this moment in time, something I have to deal with, and it soon will be gone, and I'll be looking back at it and knowing I survived it. Affirmations read or said, they're feel-good things. We can always use more feel-good things. On Facebook, I follow a site called Namaste, and I also follow the Dalai Lama. Both sites are positive and meaningful to me. I really recommend both. You can use anything that helps you through your day and night, that gives you peace, protects you, and keeps your spirit up and safe. Most of all, they keep you in the light. Many blessings to each and every one of you. Good night.
All right, that was actually very good. What came through. So now we'll see what the Galactics have to say this evening. The only ones that I have seen in the room this evening were M, which was for the affirmation and blessing at the beginning, and Thomas, that's interesting that he was chosen because in history he was William Shakespeare and he was considered the wordsmith. So we'll see what he has to say. Hopefully he keeps the cursing to a minimum. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, he went ha at that. So knowing that, he's going to flip it around and say the F word through the whole thing now. But okay, let's see what he has to say. Give me a minute. Bring him through. Good evening, everyone. You know me as Thomas, but in this instance, I will revert to one of my previous names, which people knew me as William Shakespeare. The written word is extremely important. It carries the intentions, as dear Katrina just said, of the user or the wielder. As a knight would wield a sword, so does a wordsmith could wield a pen. People have attributed my name as attributed to the word smith, and I thank them as such because I integrated mathematics and mathematical formulas into the written word, making numbers a part of letters, and so on and so forth, in the time that it was needed. At that particular time, people wondered what I gave them was all about. They did not understand certain aspects of my writings. They understood theater and imagination, yes, but they did not understand that one needed to couple one side with another, meaning numbers and letters and geometry and the like. In the theater in which I performed a lot of my works, I stood amongst a crowd and spoke out very much like a speaker would be used in your television sets and radios. This is what I needed to be able to project what I had to say outward. Not to say that my voice was the only one heard, but I wanted everyone's voice to be heard, because everyone's voice and everyone's intention is that of a mass equation. That mass equation equates to the oneness and choice. Every word, every phrase, every syllable, every note in a song, every word in a paragraph is that of choice. This is the paradigm of choice in which you all exist in. The written word holds a lot more meaning in this time than it ever did in mine. In this time I join you in the present day. I have actually gone to many seers and many writers and people who imagine whole worlds into existence. I have showed them these particular techniques, and they have adapted these as their very own. This is not to say that this is a wrong way of doing things. Quite the opposite, everyone. Their choice in which to wield the tools that I give them is their choice altogether. The same goes with these revocations and wards and audits. In these, yes, there is a certain curricula that goes with, say, audits, for instance, and some of these words were unfamiliar to this one. But in that intention, his quote-unquote higher self knew exactly what these terms were all about, so therefore the intention and the intent was still there and still part of the oneness and the choice. This is not all I have to say, everyone. In this new paradigm of choice, you find yourselves on a playing field of chess. In this paradigm of choice, you can either choose one side or the other, or do you have to choose one side or the other? Choose your words wisely, everyone, when you enter this grand arena of the grand illusion, because your misspoken words can align you with one side or the other, even if that is not your intention. The as you call them, bad guys, look for any words that might align you with them. So choose your words as if they are a mathematical equation in your lives. Choose happiness, words of balance. And if you must choose words that carry angry connotations, make sure they are thought out. Make sure your heart space and passion are involved. Therefore, it is not wrong. If there is no hatred backing up these words, your words are not incorrect, nor will they ever be. This is what I have come to say this evening. You know me as Thomas. You also know me as William Shakespeare, the writer and the poet, and I thank you. All right. Yeah, he came through pretty strong this evening. I know there was at least one more here. I know M was here. So let me see here. That's what I thought. Okay. Give me just a second. All right. We'll see what M says coming through. This feels extremely complex, what he's going to say. And Thomas is agreeing with that. So, Thomas just said he always has word redundancies that are not needed. So, let's see. Greetings, everyone. This is the being you know as M. I exist in what people would know as a quantum state of being. I exist in both on and off stages, dark, light, shadow, and other beings and stages in between. In this particular paradigm that you call choice, I actually do not see your choice as actually being wrong in this instance. All choices within the set curricula, as dear Thomas has said, are correct. In this particular stage, I must also inform people of the wording that is in some of these revocations, wards, and audits. Yes, they seem very, very complex and seem very, very redundant, but I must state that accuracy with the words in a poetic and quantum equation matter in this particular instance is most paramount. In this particular instance, where there are foreign terms such as quantum fetuses, invading universes, collapsing universes, and the like, this is not something the human brain knows of just yet in a lot of instances. However, creation itself, which is what you are truly, knows these terms and knows the concepts behind them already. You were built with the instruction manual already deep inside of your core and in every cell in your body. You are a walking universe yourself. Each and every one of you is a walking reality. Therefore, that reality understands every other reality. In that particular instance, every other reality also understands you. In the instance of myself, I am an interdimensional being that understands the reach and the arm that I reach out to in both the parallel and the other directions included. You would call them the 4 compass points, both parallel and perpendicular to each other. In this particular gradient or magnitude or particular compass sign, as the layman would put it, I exist in places that humans have never heard of, yet their soul is creation itself, therefore they have indeed heard of it. So therefore the intent behind the usage of these revocations, wards, and audits will always work no matter what additions and what subtractions you make. They are for your own personal being. However, I must warn against certain tricksters out there that are of other expressions that will get you to get them to revoke yourself because they are their own current moment. This does happen on occasion with beings within your circles you call rogue expressions. A rogue expression is an expression of a personality that no longer applies to your here and now. It applied to another here and now. So therefore, that particular here and now does not want to die off and another here and now take its place. However, this is a natural progression of both mental and soul evolution, and this must take place. Revoking all rogue expressions and auditing all expressions is necessary for the survival of your energy, your core, your soul, and your mind. It is necessary for change itself to progress. This is as layman as I can put it, but I must say this as an addendum to what I have just stated. You are the current expression for the moment. You are the sovereign expression. Yes, there are other dimensional expressions that you can guide to a particular beginnings, middle, and end. Yes, this does exist, but always remember, you must exist in the current moment in time. Is history important? Is knowing your current history important? Your past? To be able to be centered in your present? Most definitely. History is always and always will be important. Is being able to plan ahead also equally as important, having a path that you wish to lay out for you if you have goals in mind. Yes, most definitely. However, people mistake for thinking ahead as, oh, we're building towards the future. Let's say somebody has a nest egg they are saving for in the future. They are building towards the future, and once they get to that point, say that current present moment does not accept what they previously had thought that they were building for. Therefore, that building for has no meaning in that present moment. So, in this instance, stay in the current moment. Make multiple plans ahead if you wish, but do not live for the future, and do not live for what is behind you. This is M, and I thank you. All right. Okay, we'll see. Is there anyone else in the room here with me this evening? Oh, this is somebody I didn't expect. Just walked right through the door. Somebody actually used the door for once. Okay, let's see. This would be Bugnasi. He actually rarely speaks on some of these shows or in any of my channelings anymore. So we'll see what he has to say. Good evening. You know me as Bugnasi. I have stated that I come from a timeline that is future to your own. However, this is a slight inaccuracy. What I must say applies to all timelines everywhere. In the instance of the old wars, for instance, there was a difference of timelines that intersected your own histories. These histories then became what you know of as your linear history, or what you know in your history books today. Though it is incomplete, some of it is there in the form of allegory and parable. But I digress. In the instances where you are revoking things and invasions from other timelines, this means you are actually putting your intent towards these invasions from other timelines, not to strike you and not to strike all your possible pasts and all your possible futures, which also stem to other timelines. To put this in the layman, say you are standing on an island. Say you have full purview of what you see around you. Some is water, some is other islands. Say these other islands are other timelines with other people inhabiting these other timelines. Say one is bad and one is good. Say, I, myself, Bugnasi, come from a parallel timeline, standing on the good island. Say you have some, you humans would call them demonic forces, standing on this other bad island. You can push that other island away as its light and shadow forms intersect your own island. Say its sun is even in a different place, in a different time. You do not have to accept one particle of one atom, of one proton, of one nucleus, and one molecule of that bad island, just because that bad island says that they have a purpose, or that they have a destiny or a quest about them. Yes, I am referring to a real timeline. I will not get into that thusly. Say that island is intersecting your own because its pull takes so much out of the mass around it that your island becomes slightly unstable. You have every right to make your island sovereign, your space sovereign from that shaky energy, no matter what is happening in that universe. You have a duty to your own existence in your own universe. This is not service to self. This is both service to others and service to self. Those beings on that island that cause the shakiness and the ripples in time, that is pure service to self, and pure anything as an instability in creation itself. There is nothing pure in this omniverse. There is only the current moment and what you revoke in your reality and what you allow in your reality. There is merely consent and refusal. That is all I wish to say this evening, other than blessings to all of you. Thank you and good night. Whew. Oh, I didn't expect Bugnasi to come in this evening. I know there's other beings here that I do not see. I'll see there's a few minutes left, so I'll see if anyone else wishes to speak here. Let's see. Okay, this is somebody I actually did not expect tonight, more so than Bugnasi. This is actually Joyous. I did not expect him here this evening. He comes around too little often, so I will see what he wants to bring through. Good evening, joyous ones. You know me as Joyous of Ligarius. In this theme and grandeur of this evening, I must speak about what you know of as wards, revocations, and audits. All of these concepts are so important. They are, as you have all said, intention, and they are also accommodating all other timelines that wish to bring you away from your present moment. That's all things ever were, everyone, joyous ones. Things that take you out of your heart space and put you back into the temporal confusion, which is the subconscious mind. In this instance, the joyous ones wish to tell all of you this evening that to be currently in the moment is to have the I in your heart space open. Having that I in your heart space open allows you to exist now, allows you to exist amongst every bit of confusion, all the waves, all the confusion in the ether, everything. This allows you to exist sovereign. This allows you to think as well as feel. This doesn't mean that you stick your head into your chest. This is not a literal allegory. This, in this particular respect, allows your massive thinking and logical capabilities to exist in a realm of love and balance and both shadow and light in the respects of what the people you know of as the Antiqua would call the Reveille. We, the Ligarian people, exist in the heart space for this reason. In our ancient pasts, we had fights very much like your own. And just like dear Bugnassi said, one day another island invaded our tiny island. This was not the ones he was referring to. However, this was one of our closest neighbors that eventually became our friends. And because of the fact that we learned how to use the heart space instead of always taking up the sword in offensive postures, those people became our closest and bonded friends that now exist as one with the Ligarian people. These people now consider themselves one with us as well. This does not mean that you do not take up a sword in defense, but, however, the warrior energy must be reappropriated to be more concurrent with the current energies, meaning you must become compatible with the now. When you become compatible with the now, this means that you rise above all that it does not serve you. You rise above all that does not serve you, and you see the truth of everything that is around you. This does not mean that your truth is the absolute. This just means that you see the truth for what it all is in that particular moment in time. My name is Joyous of Ligarius, and I thank you and bless all of you this evening. Right. Let's see here. I believe he was the last one. So, looks like we have only 2 minutes left. I believe we can actually end it on this particular note, where my mother can read the affirmation and blessing for this evening, and then Joanna can read the announcements.
I received this affirmation during the week from Michael. Words are so powerful. Both written and said, with strong intentions, can not only change your energy, but they can also change the energy of the planet. Make no mistake, your voice is heard and the energy is felt. Michael.
And that's it for us tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And just a few more announcements. Again, go to our website and check it out if you're listening for the first time. It is thelifting2017.wixsite.com/thelifting. You'll see a lot of blogs and a lot of Q&A sessions. and a lot of listing episodes, as well as, if you go into the video library, a lot of other subject matter. Chris has been really busy trying to also get up some more current sessions that he has had with people, and I think you'll find those quite interesting as well. He works really hard to get these YouTubes up, so again, he'll do that tonight. He'll be staying up late to make sure that this is available and out for everyone just as soon as possible. And again, we do not have a Q&A this week. It will be next Thursday on July 20th, and next Monday look for our weekly blog, and then we'll again have another discussion 1 week from tonight, and it is going to be on the Arconian Binary Network. That's our next discussion for next week. Mm-hmm. So if you need to send us a question on something, please send it to thelifting2017@gmail.com, and we will get those on the Q&A. If you think you need a personal reading session with Chris or Katrina, please go again to the website and look at the appointments tab, and you will be able to reach either one of them that way. And as a reminder, they will not go over a 2-hour reading session at one time. So that's all for us tonight. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Lifting, and we will see you again next week. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone, and thank you.